Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday. It is November the 16th, and this is the futures in 5. We're taking a look at the ES. It is really trying to recover this space. My gut says that we should get ourselves a little bit of a run here. We've got the MACD cross up over the zero, the histogram, so that's measuring the inflection zone, the crossover of the moving averages that we are looking at, and now we are looking at this area to hold. So my thought is the following. The first pass fade into these zones, we're going to find buyers. That's going to give us 27.15, 27.12 as the primary support area. We simply have got to get up and over 27.38 to 27.42 to continue upside. Otherwise, we've got high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Definition of trend from Mr. Charles Dow. So we can't really think about picking any bottoms if they come into resistance and they continue to collapse. And of course, I mean bottoms to hold. Okay, so that being said, what we could do is bounce here and then move up into this range and collapse, probably fairly likely pulling back into a higher low, right? Maybe the higher low ends up being 27.25. But because we are beginning our pressure way down here, we know that there's a problem with holding a level like that. You can't really hold a level without a pullback when we've got such steep drifts in the chart. Taking a look at the NQ, not quite as vicious, but again, uh, something to look at in terms of holding an edge. We know this edge needs to hold, period, but we are looking at this area here at around 68.03 to provide enough support. Now, NVIDIA reported and it fell off a cliff, but that should get a little bit of bounce action in general, and that might lift other things. Apple also struggling, Amazon struggling, everybody's struggling. Um, so we definitely have got ourselves some problems sitting in the space. So, all right, let's take a look here. This last alert up here at 69.10 tells me I need to get up and over it in order to get into the next elevator shaft. You can see all the key areas of resistance coming into play on their failed retests, allowing us to engage in further downside pressure. This one gives us a bounce into resistance, but the fade back here, as long as it holds this region, it should have some upshot. If not, we've got ourselves some problems. Taking a look at the YM, it's got the biggest lift. It's sitting inside of ranges, but again, we probably want to hold this area, and right now we're sitting under it. Okay, my suspicion is that this volume action right in here is much more likely to give us buying pressure on the fade, where old resistance can get tested as new support. It could be all the way down here. You just want to be careful. Again, high, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low. Everything is still negative. All our bounces are going to continue to fade in this space until we start building the tier of motion that we're normally looking for in the chart. For oil, this one, we knew it was going to bounce. We knew it was time to bounce. We saw on the monthly charts that this was a very big zone. And if it didn't hold, we were way down here in the 54 region, but it did. Began to bounce almost immediately yesterday on Schwab Live. Lee Bull said something really good. And of course, we see this all the time. It's if you get good news, which was they had a draw overall in oil, and the price action still bounces, it usually tells us that the selling is over. And of course, we can see this space where it starts coming into play, where resistance gets tested as support. And we've just broken out the new area of resistance. And so we should expand and then come back into support. Why should we not move straight up? One, look at the location. This looks absolutely dreadful, but we have slope and this is an elevator shaft. So there are lots of opportunities to trade in both directions there. We know that hedge funds are generally short in the space, but not short because of new contracts. More often, they are short based on uh, generally trimming. They're selling to cover. All right. So, yes, I said that very simply, didn't I? All right, taking a look at gold, I believe that gold has made its bottom in the near term. They're using it for too many different kinds of hedges right now. And of course, I mean they by the big market and big money. And this is our first line in the sand, this alert here again, coming up into 1220 or so. We really have got to get up and over that zone and then pull back and hold it as a test in order to see this breakout hold well. Now it's coming from very low pressure events, right? And so this crossover gives me that support. It's been retested, but we've got a shift in motion here. So higher lows, I really do suspect a higher low test. I'd like to see it come into that 1212 and then try a bounce. Obviously, we can see some sellers sitting up here, so we do need to be careful about that. Okay, that concludes Futures in 5. I'm glad to be back, and we'll have a regular schedule next week, even though I will be broadcasting from Cancun.